Very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending yet another uLaw webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about an integrated payment collection, how we've at uLaw try to make that payment process a bit more seamless, easier, and convenient for you as legal professionals to facilitate for your clients to make those timely payments, whether that's trust for the retainers, or whether that's just a general payment for your client payments. We're going to walk through some of the normal tasks that you would have to do on a daily basis today without such an integration, and how tedious and time-consuming it actually may be, and the approaches that we at uLaw have taken and are continuing down that path to make it easier for you to collect payments, but also facilitate for your end clients to make those payments. The agenda for today, again, we'd like to reiterate and remind that this is not certified for a CPD, but this is going to be a next 45 minutes of informational session where we're going to showcase uLaw to you, some of our newer features and functionalities. We're going to talk about the agenda that we've outlined, and essentially talking about how payment many times is misrepresented as an opportunity to be profitable. We all know that payments on time is not only necessary, but it's of most importance for a business that you run to be profitable and in business. So we're going to be talking about what value does that payment integration bring into your business? Why should you even be considering such an integration? How can it streamline your ability to get paid faster? We'll talk a little bit about some of the key players that we've worked with, and we're continuing to expand those key players. Pivotal Payments and Moneris are two companies that we integrate with today. So if you already have an account with these payment gateways, then we're really happy to make it a one-step process within uLaw to bring that integration in. What are the compliant methods of collecting funds electronically in trust? So you want to make sure that if there are any surcharges or charges that may be applied, you want to make sure that that charge is taken out of your general account and not out of your trust account. And also talk about how easy it is to set up those accounts within uLaw and continue down that path of being compliant. So we briefly spoke about the power of integrated payment solution. So I want to cover both the pros and cons. We'll go through the pros real quickly, and again, it's really the writing is on the wall. I believe people are asking about the audio. Do want to quickly reiterate that it's important you dial in to the number provided in your email, or our support staff would be sending that information right away. So carrying on with the integrated payment collection, time is of essence. You want to make sure that the amount that the client needs to pay you gets done not only in time, but secure, but it's also ensured that the payment is in the bank. A good example would be if you collect payments as checks, and many of our clients do that for various reasons. You always have that challenge of that check bouncing, having to face with NSF, and we've had many clients unnecessarily having to go through the due diligence and the pain of having to deal with such payments and such defaulters. So ensuring that you get that payment through a credit card gateway ensures that the money is in the bank. And you can make that as your preferred payment method, and you could be upfront in letting your clients know that it's not only fast and convenient, it's much more simpler for their clients to deal with you as their legal consultant. It's cost-effective and convenient, so we've spoken about that. But it's also the ability for you to access your payments anytime, anywhere. So both these payment gateways, as well as uLaw, provide you with the tools to access the payments that you've received on a timely manner online, being anywhere, so you don't have to walk into a bank to really see if that check is, being processed or not. It gives you that extra convenience for your clients to be being able to go anywhere. The two companies that we work with, Moneris and Pivotal, do accept major credit cards, and that gives the flexibility that we were talking about to your end clients who may have an American Express card, which sometimes may not be accepted, but ensuring that all major credit cards are accepted through one gateway that just makes it simpler and easy. And you're able to obviously manage your invoice balance and trust retainers better, and you're getting paid on time and not having to wait for bounce checks. As I reiterated, the online credit card for trust in general, that one of the fundamental reasons why we chose to work with Moneris and Pivotal is their ability to have both your trust account and your general account separated. They provide you with terminal IDs for both trust and general. So if you are in the habit of accepting retainers and trust payments, rest assured to keep it compliant that any charges that these credit card companies may charge you, again, you would have to negotiate a great rate with them, anywhere from 2% as high as 3%, but again, very convenient for the cost effective for that convenience that you get. But it's most important that both these companies take that charge out of your general account and leave your trust untouched. So you don't want to have that $30 charge on your trust, which ideally should have been in your general. And both Pivotal and Moneris enable such trust compliance by design, so you do not have to worry about it. The workflow knows within uLaw too, with the one-step process to integrate that into uLaw, we clearly know that when you intake a retainer payment through a credit card, that it goes into your trust account. Likewise, Moneris or Pivotal, whoever you integrate with, know that they should not be charging your trust account with that service charge, but rather take it out of your general account. During our demo today, later on, I'm going to be showcasing how easy it is to integrate and do that setup within uLaw, integrating with either Moneris or Pivotal, whichever is your gateway of choice. Both Moneris and Pivotal offer you secret keys, and those are passwords that allow you to provide access or provide uLaw the access to integrate with those two accounts. And as I mentioned briefly, the ability by splitting those two different accounts, trust and general, we are able to record and transact the actual amount as it should be for those pertaining accounts. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the sophistication that we've brought into accepting payments. So not only can you accept credit card payments, obviously, when you're in the office, you can accept it over the phone if that's a practice. But now we've taken it one step further, that if we realize that in your accounts for that particular matter, that your client actually owes you money, which is more of a client payment. It's not trust money, but it's, let's say, over and above your trust, or if you're just working off your general, if the client owes you money, and when you send that invoice, we have a nice integration that allows your client to click a link on that electronic invoice and actually pay for that service at their own leisure, at their own convenience, by themselves. And when they make that payment, you are obviously notified right away about that payment being processed. Again, saving you time, letting the software work for you a little bit more extra for the dollars that you pay, and not having to worry about following up and calling them or sending them their invoice again. Or so you just send the invoice, it has the link, and the client has no excuse but to click that link and make that payment. Benefits. Again, we spoke about the convenience, but we also want to talk about the security. Both Moneris as well as Pivotal and anyone else that uLaw continues to partner and integrate with, we obviously do our due diligence for some of these top features, security being maybe the number one feature. Both Moneris and Pivotal are hosted payment solutions with tokenization and encryption. Now, it's really important that not only is the site encrypted, which is anyway a standard today, but both these providers, including uLaw, have tokenization or password protection, allowing you that extra level of security that's important. Efficient, because it's a simple workflow for you to now collect payments, and it's cost effective because if you really look at the amount of time and money that you would save in running behind bounce checks, the convenience and the cost effectiveness is just right there. Obviously, we're going to be walking through this scenario a bit later during our demo, but really what this is the ability for us to integrate and accept those payments within uLaw at various workflow stages. And this is the feature that I was talking to you about, that right within the invoice that you send a link that allows clients then to click that link and make that payment at their leisure. We do, again, we're not necessarily married to either Moneris or Pivotal, but we've found in speaking with our clients and with talking to our partners that Pivotal Payments does provide a little bit more better rates at the end of the day for our clients, for uLaw clients, and we'll be happy to share this information with you through the webinar or after the webinar if you need more information about what Pivotal can offer. But would definitely recommend that you do your homework, your research, your due diligence. Any specific information, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to point you to the right personnel. One of the biggest ticket items for us at uLaw is to make life easier for our legal clients, and we're currently halfway through of integrating payments through our mobile platform. So we currently have uLaw within both the iOS and the Android store, and we're going to make life easier by bringing a payment feature into our apps. So essentially you could now accept payments through your apps. We're continuing to invest and partner with other institutions. We're in discussions with some of the top 3 banks in Canada. That ensures trust compliance, that ensures all those features that we spoke about that Moneris and Pivotal provide, if not more. And you're going to see as we continue our roadmap of product development, these features are going to roll in and provide you that extra option. And the last option that we're almost there to provide to our clients is the automated ledgering of these payments. So imagining that once the payment is done by the client, then it automatically ledgers into uLaw. So that being said, again, if you are an existing user of uLaw, obviously this is, and if you do not use a third-party payment gateway as an option, this is a great opportunity for you to explore how that can benefit your business. If you are new to uLaw, we are a legal accounting practice management software Canadian, and this is our website. We offer a 30-day trial, and we're happy to help you in any way possible. So with that being said, again, we do have a no obligation, hassle-free 30-day trial sign up, and we encourage you to sign up in uLaw and give us a shot. I'm going to pause right here, and I'm going to jump gears into showcasing the uLaw product with my annotation. And at any time, if there are any questions, as you probably already know, please feel free to use our chat window. We'll collect questions as we go along, or we can answer them as we go along, or I'll give the last 10 minutes of time to focus on any specific questions that we can help you answer. But what you have right now here is our renewed new front end to uLawPractice. We've kind of made that a little bit more iconized, a little bit more easier on the eyes. But the features and the power of the product remains to be the same. And what I'm going to try and do is walk you through a classic example of how you would intake a client and accept payments. To do that, let me jump into the contacts. I would create a new contact and add that contact to our clients. Call him Bilmar, leading right-wing comedian in the United States. We'll give him an address. Or mailing address. Now, with our app out, you are able to provide phone numbers in your contacts when you do your client intake, and you would actually be able to dial those clients to the uLaw app. So let me go ahead and save Mr. Bilmar's information. I'll jump into creating a matter. You could have done a conflict screening and conflict checks, but for the purposes of time and this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and click the Matter tab for Bilmar. And this is the Matter screen for those who don't know, and all we are asking for is a title and an area of practice. So let me go ahead and say this was a speeding. We'll give it an area of practice because uLaw, being a business accounting software as well, could provide you deep dive analytics about areas of practice where you're generating more revenue, areas of practice where you're spending a lot of money, and days of sale. That's really important too. Are there certain areas of practice where you're getting paid faster than other areas? That's a really important insight that a lot of our clients don't necessarily ask. So let me just go ahead and click Save. Now there's two aspects to it. There are clients that accept trust retainers. Retainer is always a great way that you can safeguard you being a legal professional are entitled professionally and to accept retainers, so that for fraudulence you don't want to end up putting all that effort and not getting paid for. So retainer is a great way that you could safeguard all that effort and what you put in. So I'm going to maybe talk a little bit more about both situations. Or for a POA, the guy, he's going to pay you. You might just not do trust. You may not deal with trust in just general. We kind of handle both. Our legal professionals deal with retainers, real estate, which is a big thing. So let me go ahead and assume that there's a retainer involved. So I'll go ahead and click retainer. And this is a form of payment too, right? As part of the integrated payment, it's not just for client payments that are outstanding, it's for retainers too. And that's the importance and the significance of that integration continuing to keep you down that path of being compliant. So let's say it's a $1,000 retainer. Maybe not the best example for speeding, but you never know. And obviously you have a few options. The integrated payment is right down here. But traditionally what you would do is you would tell us that, let's say you got a check, you would tell us the check number, and it would automatically go into your trust account. And that's the compliance that uLaw brings into the picture. You give him a receipt and he would apply. Very traditional. It still may be the case. Just an optional opportunity that you have here is by integrating with either Moneris or Pivotal, you can now accept that payment not through checks. If the client can afford it, take it through a credit card. So to do that, before I even jump into this, I'd like to show you how you set it up to begin with. So here, the top right corner is our uLaw settings. And you have a tab called Accounts. And right here, obviously for the purposes of this demonstration, we're using our test account. But as you can see, depending on whether it's Pivotal or Moneris, whoever you work with, you would come in, choose that account, provide your trust terminal ID, your trust secret key, which Pivotal or Moneris would provide you. I think the nomenclatures are different. So it's a store ID or a terminal ID for Moneris, and it's a store ID for Pivotal. So you go ahead and provide, and you can see how the terminal IDs for both trust and general are separated, and it has its own secret or HVP key. So let me go back to my test account. This is exactly how it would look like, and you go ahead and hit save. And that's all there is to integrate uLaw with either Moneris or Pivotal. Okay. Once you've done that, let's go back to our example where we were just about to intake a $1,000 retainer for Mr. Bill Maher. And instead of telling us that you got a check or money order or bank draft, you can go right here and click on this payment collection. So let's assume Bill Maher is either on the phone or is at your office and you're collecting his credit card information. And you're going to say, yeah, I'm going to collect that payment now. So you can have Bill Maher provide you either his MasterCard, Visa. I believe we support up to Discover, which are not necessarily provided. And what Pivotal and Moneris does. It allows all sorts of credit cards to be accepted. So I'm going to put in my fixed use credit card number. Please do not try this at home. It doesn't work. Tried it. So I'll provide that CVV number, and I'll say Bill Maher. Okay? So that's Bill Maher paying through uLaw, integrated with Pivotal, and all you hit is pay now. Given this is a demonstration site, but nevertheless, it still goes in, hits the bank, ensures there's funds, and comes back with an approval with a unique reference number. And it tells it for what particular matter. It also provides the approval code, the order ID. As it says, please copy this entire message. And let me do exactly that. And all you have to do is come back here and tell that, I got it through credit card, and that was my description, and provide the receipt. Two happen here. One, obviously, within the uLaw side of things, that retainer, and here's your retainer receipt. That retainer gets put into your trust as part of your trust account. And the second thing that happens is that $1,000 is then deposited into your trust account. And let's say you sign up for a 2% credit card transaction fee, that $20 is then withdrawn from your general account. That's how you continue to keep your trust compliant, and that's really important so you're not scratching your head at the end of the month when you're reconciling your trust as to where that $20 came from. So now that we've done a retainer, let's docket time, which you do anyways. I'm just going to keep this really simple. I'm going to say initial client meeting. I'm going to make this a flat rate. I'm just going to say $1,000 because I want to get down to showcasing to you how we accept payments, and that's the crux of this demonstration. And obviously you could say, took a great meeting. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's make that for purposes of this demonstration $1,000. So now that I've put in the docket, obviously, the next step is to raise an invoice, because that's the legal document that you could send Bill Maher that you're going to be moving that money from trust to general. But let's say you go ahead and docket one more disbursement, maybe not a docket. So let's say there was a disbursement. Go ahead and, hey, new disbursement from general. Forgot to add that last minute fax that you had to send him for maybe 100 faxes. That's $75 a fax. And I'll go ahead and save that. So now there is actually a $130, a $214 what the client owes you. So that's interesting because not only that do you have to move money from trust to general, there's actually a client owing you that $214 over and above that trust. So how do you handle that? How do you accept that payment? Let me go ahead and first raise an invoice. Now, as you know in uLaw, or if you don't, it's a two-step process to generate an invoice. You click on the invoice button and then the download button. Now this generates an invoice that you would send to Bill Maher. In this classic case where I've combined both a retainer as well as a payment being in play, you're going to tell Bill Maher that it's $1,000 of my docketable time went towards that initial retainer, and that was my docket. The invoice talks about that particular fax of $84.75, and that was that credit card payment that you received online by using the gateway. And you basically tell him that that's the amount that he owes you. And you also have this link, that the fact that there is an outstanding amount due for Bill Maher to pay that money at his leisure. So this is Bill Maher sitting in his luxurious building in California, or maybe for this case he's in Toronto, but this is him using, funny enough, the same fixed use character. And paying for it at his leisure. And we're going to say how that gets tracked, how that gets notified to you. So we've shown you two cases where Bill Maher is either on the phone or is in person giving you the card and you're typing it in, or through that invoice when there is an amount due, you are through that invoice be able to send it to Bill Maher, enabling him now, giving him that convenience to be able to pay you at his leisure using the same online link. And you can see this is a secure payment link. And obviously I'm using my test database here, but in real life, you would not see the test payments. So let's say Bill Maher were to go ahead and pay you that $214.75. Two things happen. One is obviously you get a payment notification. So here's a payment notification that gets sent to your email, provided your email is within uLaw and part of your settings. So right away it tells you that Bill Maher paid that $214.75, assuming, let's say, he paid it 10 days after you sent him the invoice. One good morning, you get this email, and you would just go ahead, really happy that you got paid, come back into uLaw, and use the question mark where you notice there's both the transfer and the payments. Provide the credit card information that you got, and that's all you're doing. You're not, and then obviously if you typed in 230, because there's multiple matters involved, but let's say the $214.75 is the amount, go ahead and provide the client a receipt. And obviously, as part of your trust compliance, and that's your receipt that you would now email Bill Maher saying, hey, thank you very much for that payment. Here's your payment receipt. Obviously, a big part of that other invoicing process was for you to move the pending trust transfer of $1,000 that you used to docket. And you would go ahead and transfer that from trust account into the general account. And if you were to do an electronic fund transfer, we also enable you to fill the Form 9A and download it right away. So just as a recap, not only were we able to accept online credit card integrated payments for your retainers, keeping you trust compliant, we were also able to collect, or in fact enable your client to pay you through an invoice that had a link to a payment gateway that your client could then use to pay for it themselves. And then you get notified as soon as your client makes that payment, so that you can take care of your due diligence to docket that within, or record it rather, within uLaw. So now there's zero balance, everything is paid for, and you're obviously a happy camper. And the most important aspect to how we enabled that integration to happen was just that one-step process of being within your settings, under accounts, providing us obviously you would reach out to either Pivotal or Monaris, and we're happy to introduce you to our client partner within Pivotal. Probably do your due diligence research between Pivotal and Monaris, negotiate a good rate that they would charge you. Both Pivotal and Monaris, depending on your situation, would provide you with trust and general IDs with their own secret keys, and all you have to do is provide us that right within uLaw, save that, and then you're good to go to accept payments online for a retainer, for general payments, etc., etc. So going back to my presentation, in real life, obviously this is a test scenario, but in real life it's as easy as this, where both these companies integrate with uLaw gives you that flexibility to ensure that the funds are available, that you're accepting that retainer, and if that number was invalid or if there were no balance, then it would tell you right away, so that you can ask Bill Maher for that other credit card because his first credit card did not go through. And that's the value of that integrated payment is that time saved. It's not like Bill Maher is providing you a check and you take it to the bank and you just realize that it bounced. Again, reiterating that the trust retainer receipts as well as for client payment are both done through credit card, but the workflow and the use case are different. One being where we spoke about how the person was in person, and the second being where Bill Maher was at his office or is at home, and he received this invoice with this link, and he paid you that extra client payment that he owes you. And you can use that potentially for retainer top-ups. You can use that for any correspondences that you may have. And it's always a great idea to also within invoices ensure that you provide, or also within your retainer letter, to make it very clear as to what your payment terms are. And if the client were to go over and above that payment period, let's say 30 days or 15 days, what that interest would incur. It's really important that you communicate that to your client because many times that's what gets lost. And we make it really easy for you to mention that in your invoices. So when you're actually generating an invoice, it talks about the terms and it talks about the penalty, and the invoice at the bottom of the invoice would actually say, payment, whatever you want to write here. So uLaw provides you a very flexible invoice creation process where you could type in those terms and make that as specific to your business as you like it. Some of our clients say it's 1.5% per month. Some of our clients say it's 18% annual. So you can decide how you like to add that penalty rates or terms right within your invoice. So it's kind of completing my presentation. I know this was kind of a fast-fire webinar on a Friday afternoon, but really the essence of what we were trying to communicate and reiterate is there are newer, more effective, better ways that you as legal professionals can accept payments from your clients, both for trust and for general, making obviously your lives that much more easier and making it simpler for your clients and enabling them to pay you in a timely manner. I'd now like to open the chat window for any specific questions that you may have with regards to payment gateways in general or the uLaw interface in general. We're definitely happy to talk about that. As I spoke about the roadmap, the opportunity is for us to now connect with mobile phones, being able to accept credit card payments through other major financial institutions. So today, obviously, we work with Pivotal and Monaris. We're now talking to TD, RBC, and Scotia, where they're also trying to ensure that they have their game plan to ensure the trust compliance is there when credit cards are accepted. So that being said, it's about 3:40, and I'm going to open the chat window now if you have any specific questions. Okay, there's one question via email. What is the extra charge for online payments? That's a good question. In terms of the charge itself, I believe it is the charge. uLaw does not have any extra charge. We don't charge you anything extra for that integration. It's all part of uLaw's monthly or annual subscription costs. Whereas the transactional based for Monaris or Pivotal to facilitate that online transaction, I believe there's a certain percentage that they charge. We've heard of exorbitant rates being charged by certain companies. We've not heard that about Monaris and or Pivotal. So it would be in your best interest to do that research, to negotiate a rate that's meaningful. Sometimes it's based on the total number of transactions that happen a month. Many times it could be based on the amount of flow, that happens within between your account and other accounts. Sometimes you can just negotiate a percentage of that transaction. So let's say it's a 2.5% as what you've agreed upon, let's say with Monaris, and it's a $1,000 retainer that you're accepting, like in this case. Monaris would deposit that $1,000 into your trust account. You would obviously tell them your trust in general and the banks, and they would create your own IDs for that. You would enter into uLaw, and once that transaction happens, Monaris would deposit $1,000 into your trust and withdraw their charge of $25 from your general account. And there are no additional charges for uLaw, and hope that answers your question. Okay, I'll take the next question. Next question is, how long does it take to set up Monaris account? That's a really good question. We could certainly put you to the right person to answer that, but in general, what we've seen with both our clients is there is obviously a conversation that you need to have with a Monaris or a Pivotal client representative. We're happy to introduce you to our representative that we know at Pivotal, who can then walk you through what that process looks like. There's some paperwork obviously that have to be signed, but I'm assuming that it's done fairly soon, the fact that they want to get you up and going. Is there a specific contact for either Monaris or Pivotal? Yes, we do have it for Pivotal because we do work with them a bit more close. I think I brought it up. Let me bring it up again. So her name is Nadine Baki, and that's her number. I'm happy to provide it to you right away. And Sean, what I can do is I can also send you a quick email introducing you as our client to Nadine. That way she knows that she needs to take care of you. So we'll definitely get that sorted out. We'll have my support staff do that. But that's just her information. You don't have to send us an email. You could just type it in chat. We're getting a lot more questions through our email, through our support line, which is fine. But we're just trying to make it convenient and easy for you to ask us those questions through chat window. I can see I have another question coming in. Okay, here's a question that's not necessarily related to this webinar. So when is your next webinar on CPD? That is a really good question. Please do visit at uLawPractice.com/webinars. I believe we run 2 non-CPDs and 2 CPDs a month. So in essence, we provide 4 webinars a month, and many times, again, depending on timelines and everything else, for sure we know we run 2 CPDs a month, and they're on the topics of financial accounting and everything practice management. The everything practice management runs for 1.5 hours, and the financial accounting runs for 1 hour. Do you provide CPD in other parts of the country? Yeah, just reiterating. So let me take one thing at a time. I found another one. Is this webinar qualified for CPD? No. But we do have CPD webinars coming up for CPD, and please do check us out at uLawPractice.com/webinars. To the previous question about CPDs in other parts of the country, we are accredited to provide CPD in British Columbia, and we've maybe run 2 CPD sessions so far in September and October. And again, please feel free to visit us at uLawPractice.com/webinar for further information. I hope that answered questions for Marina and others. Okay, so I have one more not final question. We have enough time, so if there are other questions, please feel free to let us know. One more question is, how do you accept retainer payments through uLaw? Okay, let me go through that again. We did go through that example where we accepted that $1,000 retainer. And just so you know, we are recording this entire webinar, and it's going to be available recorded as a link and being sent to you. So you can be rest assured that you do have this entire session recorded. But to answer that question, when you create a matter within uLaw, as we have right here for Mr. Bilmar, and let's say you're accepting another retainer for Bilmar, you would just go into retainer, and we have this new retainer tab. And the way we've set it up is that when you click on a retainer, we know that those funds go into your trust account. It does not go into your general account, and that's how uLaw ensures that discipline. So if you were to, let's say, accept another $500 retainer from Bilmar, this button at the bottom right corner called Payment Collection is what enables you to first validate that. So you're going to validate that, hey, that is the terminal ID, you know. Again, we're just double checking here. This is the information you provided to us within our settings. And you're validating that, you're accepting that's the amount. And when you hit the collect payment is when, and this is essentially a payment hub. So basically this is a pivotal payment page in all purposes and practical purposes. And whether it's your intake client clerk working at your office, or your intake specialist at your office, or if it's yourself taking that client payment over phone or in person, you would go ahead and take his credit card information, and you would accept it right through this little window. And this is what we're looking to expand into our mobile as well. So if you meet your client and he's willing to pay you right there, you can now start accepting payments on your mobile app without having to get into uLaw's web version. But essentially that's what it is. You provide that information. Again, the ones in the asterisk, as you probably know, are mandatory. You hit pay now. In real life, what happens is it hits the bank, it hits Bilmar's credit card company, that what he already provided, ensures there are funds, withdraws that $1,000 or $500 money, and deposits it into your trust account. And the way they know that trust account is in your settings. When you set up your account with either Moneris or Pivotal, they would provide it to you. So you would just copy paste that information here, and you would hit apply. So just going back to how they know what account to take it out of. When they actually work with you to create, associate their terminal ID with your trust account, they know that 33002 terminal ID and secret key is to be connected with, let's say, your TD trust account, and the 33002 with this secret key for general is to be connected to, say, like your Scotiabank for your general account. Yeah, again, I know this is a more simplistic webinar, With that being said, okay, there's another question. Can we review the email that is being sent out, and to who is this email sent out to? So anytime a payment is done, and these emails are, again, there's two types of emails that get sent out. Every time you raise an invoice, you have the option of receiving a summary of that invoice in your email inbox. And the next instance where you would receive an automated an email is when your client pays for that invoice at their own leisure. So we looked at the payment processing. So this is when if Bill Maher paid it through the invoice at his own leisure. But if you're accepting that payment in the office, then there is no email that's being sent out. We just have a receipt that's generated for that payment that gone through. And that receipt would have all the information about how they paid and the unique reference key that they received when they paid for it, just like that. So when it says email has been sent to sales, it's sent to sales because in your settings, in your details, you have that as your work email. And that's how it knows to send it to that email address. So we do have about 5 more minutes. So I'll wait for any questions that you may have. And again, if you need to digest this information and ask us those questions after the fact, please feel free to email us at support@uLawPractice.com, or you can send it to info@uLawPractice.com. Again, for those who I think joined a little bit late, a quick recap. We are recording this entire session, and not to worry, we would be able to send you a copy of this recorded version. What we covered. Okay, invoice. Okay, yeah. So we covered the aspect that we're able to create a contact, accept payments in an integrated way to credit cards by connecting with either Monaris or Pivotal today, and we are expanding that list. If there can a client pay directly from the invoice? Yeah, I think, okay, that's a good question. Probably take that as the last question, or last 3 questions with time. Can a client pay directly from an invoice? Yes. We did demonstrate that. I'll try and re-demonstrate that as well. So let's say there was a docket. So there's obviously $500 in trust. I'll go ahead and make that as a flat rate. There's a second client meeting. I'll make that $600. Just so there's a little bit of amount to be paid over and above what we have. So that's when the client can pay you automatically. Because if there's already trust funds, then it's just your responsibility to raise the invoice and move that money from trust to general. So let's go ahead and raise the invoice. I'll probably use a fall theme. Now that you've generated the invoice, and again, I'm just reiterating that, as part of uLaw, right at the bottom, when we know that there's an amount due, we do provide this extra link that allows you to click for it and pay for it. So this is where, again, just like anything else, Bill Maher would pay for it. And this is to answer your question as to how they would pay for it at their own leisure. And as soon as Bill Maher pays for it, let's say 5 days down the line, he would get an email. If you have his email, you would most importantly receive an email and that email would look something like this. And it tells you right away that that $178 has been paid by Mr. Bill Maher, because that's just due of the amount over and above the trust, right? So all you have to do now is just copy that, search for that Bill Maher BM. So we also provided the file number right here. So BM469. Just come in here, quick view. BM469. That's just a quick search. Go in here. There's many ways you could put client payment in. I just prefer you could do action, because you're taking action on that matter, and you can just say client payment. It's the same screen, really. Or you could just do the question mark and hit payments. It's kind of the same screen. And you just tell, yeah, I got it, as in, credit card, and that was the transaction number. And when you provide the receipt, obviously you want to make sure that that description and reference is available. I think there's another question about how would you import those bank charges. One of our new features, and I'm not sure if I'm able to showcase it to you right now, and maybe the supports tab can send you a link around that. But one of our new features allows us to import bank statements. So if you have your general bank, let's say it's TD, you are able to choose an Excel sheet that allows you to import all of your bank, like a monthly statement, if you will, from your bank in an Excel format. And then we are able to then just suck it into uLaw and then show you different charges that show up on your bank statement. And then you can automatically write that off as an office expense. Or you can just come in here and you could say action, expense, office expense, and you could say it's interest and bank charges. You can create your own. You could say electronic bank charges, and you could say, you can either, some of our clients do it on a regular basis, some of our clients add up their, because Moneris and Pivotal would provide you their own invoice statements. They would say, hey, for this entire month, we've had 10 transactions, and there's about $250, about how you can put that in. So you just put it in saying, Moneris, October charge, $250. Maybe that's the tax you paid. And you could say I paid it to Canada. Let's say it goes out of your general account, or maybe you paid out of your credit card account. And then you can just tell us how you paid for it. Okay, so it does calculate uLaw, again, interestingly enough, for a different day, calculates taxes that you paid and makes it readily available for you to generate your HST tax reports as well. If you want to do it for that month, that $20 that you just paid Moneris is automatically calculated as part of the taxes that you paid, so that your business now understands the taxes that you either have to owe the government or the government owes you. I hope that answered that question about how you put in your bank charges. So here's that $20.76 invoice that you paid Moneris for October. It's really simple. I think, yeah. And if you're doing this individually, I believe the individual charges are HST exempted. Okay, if there's no more questions, I again thank you sincerely for the opportunity and the time, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. If there are any more questions, please feel free to send it out to support@uLawPractice.com. This is an informational session, It's not CPD accredited, but we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. And have yourself a fantastic weekend, and see you next time.